I don't take orders from the mayor's errand boy.
I don't work for the mayor. I work for the man.
Hello and welcome back to A Stark Contrast, where we discuss the differences and similarities between Marvel Comics and their MCU counterparts. And we are your hosts, Geoffrey
and Dai.
Hello, and welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back, Jeff.
Yeah.
Busy man.
I felt like we've been gone for like forever since our last recording.
And yet we haven't at all.
I know.
Just that homeboy here is busy living his best personal life.
Oh, please. I'm tired. I want to go to sleep. But yeah, I just got back from Coachella. I'm tired. Work is also busy. But, you know, life goes on.
Life goes on.
Gotta keep going. No
Yep.
time to powwow and sulk in my sorrows.
But a good time nonetheless.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So CinemaCon is happening.
Yes.
And this week has been kind of a flurry of news. And so Sony has already gone up to pitch. They showed some Spider-Man Brand New Day stuff. We dropped the teaser posters on social. Do you have a favorite between the two?
I always love the classic damsel in distress in the eyes.
In the lens.
In the lens.
Yeah.
It's just like
well, yeah, and then it's a complete succession of the Toby with the Andrew.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Someone
great.
said like, "Oh no, she's gonna die."
I mean, it's foreshadowing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, same here. And then Sony also shared their news of Into the
Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Beyond the Spider-Verse,
Yeah.
yeah. And some new stills from that film as well, which looks absolutely incredible. And I'm just like, I feel like we've been waiting 10 years for this third movie.
I know, animation takes a long time,
Oh,
man.
for sure. And again, like the rolling effects of a strike and all those things, all those components. And yeah, animation is just, it's a tough job. It's a tough gig. So it's exciting. And of course, Marvel Studios and Disney will have officially, actually, by the time this
comes out,
episode drops, revealed Doomsday, Avengers Doomsday stuff. So naturally, we're recording the day before said content is dropping. So once again, here are our reactions. Oh my God, I can't believe they did that.
I can't believe Steve Rogers dies.
No, well, I mean, if rumors are true, he's leading the movie at this point with Thor.
Oh my God, Thor just got stabbed.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully what's dropped is amazing, and we will obviously talk about it in our next episode. But unfortunately, on the other side of the spectrum, the big studio news also comes concurrent with Disney's latest layoffs. 8% of the total workforce and a majority of Marvel Studios' visual development team. And they were completely dusted, more or less, leaving what's described as a quote-unquote skeleton crew for hiring talent on a per-project basis. And this is unfortunate because it's like people who have been there for 10 years just suddenly don't have a job, and they're integral to the creative process of all these movies that we talk about.
Yeah.
That we're very much fans of. And so it's really unfortunate, and it's really, I think, something very surprising to everybody. Because I think I saw one of them even comment that they got this news just before they're about to have their biggest premiere.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like,
It's like, oh no.
Thanks. And of course, Wes Burt's post is going viral because he's like, oh yeah, imagine having a one-on-one with HR when you're about to get fired and your low-key concept art is on the outside of the conference room. Yeah, heartbreaking, but I'm sure more will be released about that. But absolutely devastating. Not sure how that's going to affect the films, but it's going to affect the content moving forward, because these are people who are creating the costume looks, the looks for the characters in general,
pretty much
the crafts, the planets, all of the stuff.
Yeah.
So not to be confused with the actual animators, obviously.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's still yikes.
Like, it starts with them.
Yeah, it's a huge blow to the industry. So, and not the only one. Not
Yeah.
the only ones. So really, really sad news there. But in less serious news, Marvel Rivals Season 7.5 has officially dropped with new costumes, perks, and more. And of course, the official arrival of one Black Cat.
I'm not even kept up, man.
Yeah. It's been a crazy week.
I can imagine.
Yeah, voiced by her Sony's Spider-Man actress Erica Lindbeck. And so amazing, because now we have both Spider-Man and Black Cat from Sony Spider-Man games, true to their voices. And now they're in Rivals. Her kit is kind of crazy, a little much for me. I am not used to these kinds of games at all. Like Rivals is truly the first PvP I've ever played. But I'm going to try her out in the spirit of favoritism.
Hey, might as well.
Yeah, and see what can be done. But very exciting. So definitely stay tuned for that. And they're, again, new skins and all this stuff are coming out. Pretty cool. I know I'll be purchasing some myself, but you know. And last but not least, a reminder of the Daredevil rollout schedule. If you're listening to this on or near release day, we have just 3 episodes of Born Again Season 2 left before we immediately roll into the Punisher special feature, One Last Kill. And one last thing, because we always forget to mention it, Spider Noir is dropping
That's
too.
slowly, just going to sneak in
he's
there.
Creeping on up here. And so Spider-Man Noir drops on May 27th. And so we're going to talk about that as well eventually. We haven't talked about that Peter Parker yet. And of course, in the show, he's Ben Reilly.
Yes.
So it's going to make for an interesting stark contrast. And all that said, let's dive into this episode's character study. But first, a reminder, we are not experts and we don't claim to be. We're just a couple of nerds nerding out. And in this episode, we're nerding out about Buck Cashman.
Buck Cashman. Bullet,
Buck.
yes.
Yeah, Jeff and I were fisking again.
Buck, I need you to handle this.
And so for related episodes, none just yet. But stay tuned for our season recap as we start diving into more Daredevil Born Again and its characters. And also, please note, this episode does contain spoilers for Daredevil Born Again Season 2 if you're not caught up with Episode 5, The Grand Design. So as for Buck himself, he was created by Ann Nocenti and John Romita Jr., 2 amazing creators in the field. His first appearance, Daredevil 250, January 1988. Although the cover itself says 1987. It was like a December, January thing. But anyway, so here's the cover. Here's Daredevil in peril. Can DD halt the rampage of Bullet? And this is Bullet.
Is that him supposed to be like super fast?
Yes, exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Nailed it. And the issue title itself is simply Boom. Just boom. For a number of reasons at that. So do you want to guess the cover price?
A quarter.
No.
That's too much, right?
1988.
That's too much.
Too little, my friend. Inflation. So
is it a buck?
Almost.
That'd be hilarious if it was a buck.
Is it buck? I see what you did there. Almost.
That's over or under?
Under.
Wow, buck 25?
No, sorry. I mean, it's less than a buck.
Oh, it's less than a buck?
Yeah.
3/4. Mm-hmm. Nice.
Exactly right. So the kind of the turning point is like, you kind of think once you get to the
90s, yeah,
it's $1.
Yeah.
No joke. And so, yeah, for 1988, this book would have cost you 75 cents.
Nice.
Crazy.
Nice.
Especially considering how modern technically it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, interestingly enough, and I mentioned this to Jeff before we started recording, is that Bullet, as you'll come to see and hear, is not exactly one of the biggest arch enemies of Daredevil and Daredevil lore.
Yeah.
So there are no highest grades on Shortbox. Like Shortbox does not have graded versions of this comic because it's not that important.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, he's not exactly somebody
or not that
everyone's
long
like,
for.
Gotta get that story.
Yeah.
That story's so crazy.
But it has but I've heard that title story before, like on Twitter and everything. Like, so.
Yeah.
Was it Daredevil? What was it? The title of that one?
This one?
Yeah.
The Man Without Fear?
The Man Without Fear. Like,
Yeah.
I've heard that.
And Nocenti is iconic for her run.
Got it. Okay.
And so it is during the heyday of Daredevil as a character, but this particular issue not so hot on, at least from a collector's perspective. So there's nothing on Shortbox currently, and on eBay you could get a CGC 9.8 of this book for $180, and then the lowest graded being an 8.5 for just $30. So yeah, if you're into Bullet, you kind of like Buck Cashman, not a bad deal. And then you can get the book raw for about $10. So very affordable. Again, if you like this character, you might as well get it. So first exposure, I assume it's the show.
Yeah, has to be.
Yeah,
No question.
For sure. Yeah. I think pretty much the same. Though, yeah, he's in modern comics, so I didn't put together this is the same character. So it's very interesting what they've done with him, especially in the show. And speaking of Buck doesn't appear to have any trading cards, at least with a bio. In fact, he doesn't even have a proper dedicated Wikipedia page. So we don't have any bio to give you. But as Jeff mentioned and observed from his cover alone, he is very fast, and he did get the name Bullet. And so when it comes to his first appearance as well as origin in the comics, we're not even introduced to Bullet until about 9 pages deep into a 23-page book.
Oh my gosh.
And his dialogue is cold, short, and straight to the point. He's kind of the type of villain that just goes, sure, okay.
Yeah,
got
well.
It. Yeah. Exactly.
It's a good comparison.
Yeah, and so when he first appears, he stands across the room of the office of a U.S. general, and this general himself is depicted as an uncharacteristically shaken, nervous man. His eyes are shifting, he's sweating, but weirdly enough, this person he's speaking to is intimidating him. And it's revealed in dialogue, however, he's speaking to Bullet. And the two are discussing a particularly hairy situation in which the general is attempting to suggest that Bullet takes on a particular job, one that probably shouldn't be on the books, and it might be unlawful to some degree. So essentially it's a government official being like, hey, I have this really dirty job I need you to do. Yeah. But only if something happened to happen. Not that I'm telling you to.
It'd be crazy if,
right.
This happened.
Exactly right. And so the general at long last reveals to Bullet that an environmental group named Save the Planet have become a quote-unquote nuisance to several New Jersey industrial companies, and that they quote-unquote must be nudged a bit, suggesting they're hurting certain businesses. And you know how all these people get when it comes to businesses and their money. And in Buck's own words, he operates on the concept of, I'll do anything as long as the money's right. And I'll sleep like a baby no matter what. And so immediately you're like, oh, so he don't care.
Yeah.
He's like, just pay me. I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't have a conscience. With negotiations more or less complete, the general concludes by suggesting the organization's headquarters, quote unquote, might get bombed by a terrorist. Wouldn't that be crazy? And of course, Bullet is present during all of this as a government official to tie it all up in a neat little bow and make sure it just quietly goes away. Well, it just so happens that at that very time, some dude named Matt Murdock happened to be at Save the Planet's headquarters. And so at this point in Matt Murdock's lore, Nelson and Murdock are no longer partners, and he opened up a drug hotline and free advice clinic for the locals. And he's facing threats to close said clinic because he's without a license. Can't imagine why, right? Like, can't imagine why. Could it be somebody by the name of, I don't know, Wilson Fisk?
Probably.
Yeah. And so Fisk basically got his law license revoked. And so Matt's operating this place as sort of a good gesture and to keep his law firm going in some way. And so a man named Rollins comes to Matt earlier in that day, before this whole operation is supposed to go down, and he details an ongoing dispute with an adhesive company called Calco. So, as Matt would, he went to go do some investigating at Save the Planet's HQ to further support the case. Then, kaboom! As predicted by the general, the headquarters explodes, and just as Matt springs into action to take on the assailant, he's met with someone much larger and faster. And that is, of course, Bullet. And so I'm going to show you this picture, Jeff, because, again, if you're a fan that has only been exposed to that beautiful British man, when you see what Bullet looks like, especially in his size,
Whoa.
he's gigantic. He's Kingpin size.
Yeah.
He's a Kingpin
Whoa.
size.
No, he looks like. Hold on.
Yeah.
He looks like.
I think I know what you're trying to say.
Eben Moss Backrack's fantastic, like the Thing kind of shape.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's thing shaped.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
Where did you think I was gonna go?
Oh, I thought you were just say Juggernaut.
That
Who's
too.
also very large.
That
yeah.
too.
Yeah, and so these two squabble, and eventually Bullet flashes his government ID, and he's like, "Nice try. I'm here on behalf of the government." And so it just absolves him of any wrongdoing. And in fact, it's proof that he's been issued the highest level government clearance as an agent. So it was that quick. He's that good at his job that he was summoned to clean up the job and also get out like no one ever saw him.
Yeah.
And so that leaves Matt more or less perplexed than ever. But slowly but surely, he puts the pieces together and recognizes that the government's been compromised. And then, like Matt in his Matt fashion, this is war, declares war against the government.
Yeah.
It's so Matt Murdock, and it's very in line with what we're seeing on screen right now. And so that isn't quite the end of Bullet's first appearance, however, and his story continues in an apartment in Hell's Kitchen where his young son Lance lives. And you realize very quickly by dialogue alone, Bullet's mood determines how well his relationship with his son goes. And Lance's first question to his father when he enters the apartment is, are you in a good mood? So you're just like, oh. So Bullet's also a horrible father on top of all of this. This is also notably the first time we actually see Bullet's face. So up until that point of the issue, he's this masked guy and he's like a shadow and he's just shadowed out. But once he goes to see his son, finally you see his face. And you get the sense that, as it was introduced in the beginning of the story, Lance learned about the events of Hiroshima at school earlier that morning. So that's why the issue is titled Boom, because it starts with this whole thing about Japan. And so he begins reciting protocol and terms and survival tactics at his father, who grows increasingly irate. So essentially, this kid took what he learned at school and he was like, we could be bombed at any moment. And he starts building this like this fictionary world where he has to have like a bunker. And he's talking to his dad about it. And he's like, oh, I have rations and I have soup cans and I have these guns. And it's like, what? And he's like 8 years old. You know what I mean? And so Bullet in this moment starts to get even more irate and very quickly, but realizes, like, you think, oh God, he's going to blow up. He's going to hit this kid.
Yeah.
He's going to hit this kid. And then he calms himself down because you also get very quickly that he just leaves the kid there. He doesn't actually live with his child. He puts this child in the apartment and leaves him for days at a time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, negligent parenting. And so, thankfully, Bullet doesn't explode. In fact, he tends to his son with calmness and care, and then the issue just ends. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah, that's his origin and his first appearance all in one. There's nothing much to him. Boom. He's very good at what he does. Government, clearance, has a son. Deeply sensitive, but also horrible temper. There. And he's a headache in Daredevil's...
Yeah. Of course.
For Daredevil, yeah. And so that brings us to Buck Cashman Bullet in live action. And so portrayed first and still by Artie Froshan so far, who made his first appearance in 2025's Daredevil Born Again Season 1 and remains an active character, at least at the time of this recording. So, though they haven't explicitly called him Bullet in the show, MCU Buck is quite different than his comic book counterpart. His background alone includes being a former British Army, as well as an operator for Special Air Service prior to his relocation to the US. But unlike his comic book counterpart, this version of Buck comes across severely loyal to Fisk's endeavors, because... who was missing from that entire first appearance? There was no mention of Fisk and Bullet being remotely adjacent, let alone full-on attached in any way.
Yeah.
Like, he was not there because of Fisk. He is not there. There's not even a breath of Fisk in there. Whereas in the show, holy Lord.
Undying loyalty.
Yes, exactly right. And so, he's loyal to Fisk's endeavors, and he does quite literally anything to keep the man in power. And he's referred to as a quote unquote fixer for both Fisk and his wife.
I mean,
Vanessa.
it's kind of like a little bit similarities in like his
sure.
origin that we talked about earlier. It's like where you were like suggesting like, well, if this happened, it'd be crazy. But
Right.
but in this one, it was kind of just like it was for money. So I guess like that's the parallel.
Yeah.
But it's just like, he's like, yeah, what do you need me to do? Boom. Got you.
Exactly. And so, though their exact history isn't necessarily shown on screen, though they did show a brief glimpse of it and Buck's relation to Wesley in a recent flashback, it was ultimately Buck's asymmetric thought process that drew him to Fisk to begin with. And so they mentioned this in season 1, and it's in fact one of the very few things we actually talked about between him and Fisk in the Wilson Fisk episode that we did do. The idea of something called illusion of asymmetric insight is at play. And so now you might be wondering, like, what is that? Like, is this a thing? Because like initially you think asymmetric, oh, so he's crooked. He's crooked. That's an easy way of saying it. But illusion of asymmetric insight is an actual thing. And it's defined as a quote unquote cognitive bias whereby people perceive their knowledge of others to surpass other people's knowledge of them. And so Buck is skilled at knowing his targets more than they can even begin to perceive him. So he's already like, if somebody even thinks, oh, I think I saw this man, he's already like, you've been to 23rd and 5th, and those are horrible cross streets. You've been to downtown Manhattan. You purchased a latte. You went to college at NYU, and you did all these bad things. Like, he is up ahead of the game at all times. And so, lest we forget, Buck is very aware of Matt Murdock being Daredevil as well, because Kingpin straight up told him in season 1. And so he has that intel in his head on top of his immeasurable perception. So Buck is, again, he's not necessarily somebody we would generally talk about because, as I mentioned to Jeff, it's kind of like if we did an episode on Stiltman, which is one of my dreams and fantasies. If Stiltman were actually
I am
in
a
the series.
still strong believer that he will show up.
I think he will. I think more than ever he will. But yeah, Buck Cashman in Daredevil is not a Green Goblin caliber character. He is simply a henchman that occasionally makes appearances. Yeah. And so for the MCU to then take that character and make him into what they've made him into, 2 seasons strong of a character now is kind of crazy.
I mean, he's pretty much, he's Fisk's right-hand man.
Yeah. I remember too being at first, because, to call back to the original series, when Karen popped that gun into Wesley, I was like, oh damn, because I liked Wesley, like in a how much you can like a bad person way, but I enjoyed his character, and so to actually have him be taken down effectively, I was like, dang, so who are they gonna have now? And so they introduced Buck, and like I said in our previous episode, I was like, oh, who are you? You're kind of cool.
Yeah.
And he's scary.
I mean, especially in this most recent episode 5.
In episode 5,
you definitely get a little bit more more depth to him.
Yes.
Him alongside Gandolfini's son.
Yeah. Yeah, Daniel.
Daniel. So you're just like, oh, okay. Like, what is his, like, what's his, essentially he's Fisk's cleanup man.
Yeah, he's the fixer.
Yeah. And so it's like, how far is he gonna go?
Yeah.
What's his like, like I was gonna like bring this up like later and like when we discuss like the future of this character, but I'm like, is there gonna be like a bullet versus bullseye?
Oh, there has
type
to be.
of deal,
Has to be. Yeah.
2 guys that never miss their mark, 2 guys that are just so it's like that'd be sick.
For sure.
But yeah, I'm very curious, especially after this most recent episode. Yeah. Where it's gonna like kind of go to.
Exactly. And I think what they've really achieved with Buck being he's so personable in a certain way that he's a kind face, he speaks nicely, but he's dangerous. Like, you just know he's dangerous. Yes. You don't even have to see a gun on this man. He doesn't have to come off like Powell does, for instance. Powell walks into the room, he's a bad person. But Buck walks into the room and you're like, oh, you seem safe, but he's probably the most dangerous man in the room.
Yep.
And what I loved about this last episode, the grand design, is the way he absolutely plays with Daniel.
I know. Even I'm just like, I was like, is this guy gonna die, dude? Like,
But it was beautifully written, because the fact that he's like, oh, we're going to Albany, and he's like, Albany. You know, and if you're from
Albany.
New York, you're like, what? Why are you driving? Oh, God. You're like, oh, he's going to die. He's going to kill him. And he's taking him for a long drive. Stops at a, what do you call it?
Like a
supply
Home
store.
Depot type of deal. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he stops there, and he comes out with the shovel and a saw. It's like, oh, he had a jigsaw. Okay. And I was like, oh, my God. And just the fact that Daniel was so riveted in little time. Like no time whatsoever. He's like, oh, he caught on very quickly. I'm going to die. And of course it doesn't end up being that way, but it's incredible the way that Buck played him so hard, and the power of suggestion. It's so great. I think they're doing an excellent job of, again, taking a character so little in the comics, but making him into something a lot bigger and actually almost as scary as Wilson Fisk himself. So when it comes to the aesthetic of this character, as I mentioned to Jeff and showed him a panel of a giant Bullet versus Daredevil, these two have little in common, aside both being male and brunette. Buck in the comics is often seen in a dark suit with a single white line threading vertically on his left side, sometimes seen in a collar mask that covers his lower face. He's also notably far more bigger built than his live action counterpart, and of course, also what appears to be a New York native. So even in his dialogue in this panel, so he's fighting Daredevil, there's debris everywhere, and he's like, "How you doing, Red Man?" And it's like every time I kept reading the comics, I hear Ben.
Like
I hear Ben.
Sure.
And I'm like, wait, no, this isn't Ben. This isn't Ben. But I hear the New York inflection very strongly. It's funny in a way because, you know, he asks Daredevil how he's doing because he's clearly losing.
Yeah.
And Daredevil is like, oh, just swell, thanks. But mind telling me, why are you attacking me? And Bullet simply says, because you exist. It's like, dang, he delivers these hard, cold lines.
Of course.
And they're so short. They're always straight to the point. But as far as aesthetic goes in the MCU, however, Buck is a sharp, well-dressed Brit who has nothing to hide. Both are bold in their own ways. So it is an interesting contrast in that way that, you know, Buck in the comics is kind of like, oh, I'm ominous and scary and I'm really big. But then Buck in the show is, again, he's just out there and also the dangerous man in the room, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's very interesting how they've essentially taken his ability to be physically intimidating into something that's just like quietly intimidating is kind of how I see it. Emily Gunshire serves as costume design lead for Daredevil Born Again as a series and is credited through 2027. So she's likely on board right now with season 3 currently in production.
Oof, season 3.
Season 3 already. That's crazy.
I know. I love it. We haven't
very quickly because we didn't talk about it up top.
Yeah, I know the leaks.
Michael Coulter.
Sure.
Michael Coulter, brother.
But it's like, but hey, like the fact that they're filming every year.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, now that's TV right there.
Yeah. No, really, it really is. And
like it's nice knowing that, like, oh, you're gonna get a new season of Daredevil probably next year.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. And so for powers and paraphernalia, this is a curveball for you, Jeff.
Oh, I love it.
Although Bullet showcases superhuman attributes in the comics, it's unknown whether these were innate, natural, or if he acquired them by artificial means.
Oh, yeah.
And so in Daredevil 251, his bare hand touches toxic waste. As he's killing somebody, by the way. Like, he's literally putting a man in a barrel of toxic waste.
Damn it, man.
And Bullet just looks at his hand. It's like all this green goo, and he just goes, this stuff can't hurt me. And although it's a little difficult to gauge his strength, he can crush an 8-ball like a fist of breadcrumbs. So he's very strong.
So only his hand gets affected?
No, nothing. Nothing. It didn't affect him at all. Is like the point is that he doesn't have powers, but no one knows how he's immune to things.
Sure.
And how he's super strong. Nobody knows. And so that said, Bullet does have your favorite part, superhuman speed, strength, and stamina. Stamina and durability despite his rather large size, and is a highly skilled combatant due to various government training. So that part is natural.
He's a regular whatever, dude.
So yeah, we don't know where he obtained, and clearly he got it before the government connection.
Okay.
So it's like, oh, you mysterious man of power.
Superhuman speed and strength, stamina.
Yeah, whatever, man.
And so the combination of those factors is ultimately what makes him a deadly adversary. But yeah, I mean, in the books, he's just like barreling into Daredevil all the time.
At least he doesn't have like regenerative health and telekinesis.
No, he can.
Thank God.
Yeah, no, he's just very strong, and nobody understands why. So yeah, he just moves like a bullet. He's fast for his size. Now, while the story is different for Buck in the MCU, he doesn't have any of those attributes, thankfully, whatsoever. He's seemingly a normal man who happens to be an expert marksman despite his lack of any superhuman-like powers, and even more menacingly, is an expert assassin. So, yeah, he's just a natural human being in the MCU, which I think is a good move. I don't think they need these sorts of, let's take the human bullet and put him in Daredevil. You know,
yeah.
They don't need that. But fun fact for you, Buck's go-to weapon in the MCU is a Beretta 92 FS Inox.
That's a good one.
So he's got that gunaroo.
He got that thing on him.
He got that thing on him. Pow, 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 as Anthony Mackie might say.
Pow, pow.
So that leaves us with love interests. Yes, Buck Cashman even has one. And so, short and sweet, he has, or had, just the Gloria Cashman. And it's unclear whether or not Buck and his partner are still married or have been estranged. But Gloria is obviously the mother of his son Lance, who plays a large part in Buck's canon. But she is limited to just a page, maybe two at most in the comics. This is all we see of his estranged wife. A leg, a knee, lips, and body. That's it. No face, nothing ever. And so she's painted essentially as a negligent mother. And it's funny because when I read these panels, I immediately thought of Marissa Tomei in her classic iconic role, right? And like, so Buck is on the phone with her and he's like, you were supposed to be here to pick him up. And she's like, but Lance, the war's in the desert. We won't blow up here in New York. You know,
it's also like ScarJo in that Joseph Gordon-Levitt movie.
Yes, exactly. And like a touch of Harley Quinn, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, Gloria, he's your son. And then she's like, oh, sorry, that wasn't even her. That wasn't even her in the first bubble. But she's like, I know. Hold on a sec. I gotta find my lipstick. And he's just getting so mad. He's on the phone and he's like, you're never there for him. You promised you'd take him out this weekend. Gloria, are you there? And she's clearly applying the lipstick. And he's like, you're not even listening. And she's like, what was that? Look, honey, I gotta go. I got a hot date tonight. Give my love to Lance. And he's like, a hot what? Because this is his wife. It's his wife.
Yeah.
I got a hot date tonight?
It's like, hello?
It's crazy work. I'm like, dang. This is why Bullet is very angry as a human being.
I see it.
But that's it. That's the only thing we ever see of him as far as love interest in the books. And again, characters like this don't necessarily need them, but it is interesting insight into why he's the way he is. Mm-hmm. Buck has otherwise displayed no signs of a love interest in the MCU, as his portrayal is left largely out of the spotlight. And frankly, we don't need to go there anyway. Because, yeah, we just don't need to. It wouldn't add anything to his story at this point. Like, as I mentioned before, just the fact that we got to see he was associates with Wesley is more than enough for his backstory. We don't need to go further than that, I feel.
Yeah.
What makes him interesting is his line of work, however, and his affiliations. That said, for family, friends, and affiliations, it's natural to expect that a character like Buck would not have many family or friends to mention otherwise, both in the comics and the MCU. But in the comics, his affiliations do include the Assassin's Guild, the CIA, Friends of Humanity, Fist, and Lethal Legion. And just in case any of those or none of those ring a bell, quick recap. The Assassin's Guild is the clan of assassins, primarily based in New Orleans, rivals to the infamous Thieves Guild that Gambit is a part of. The CIA, obviously, is indeed the Central Intelligence Agency, a civilian foreign intelligence service of the federal government of the U.S. Friends of Humanity are a pro-human hate group founded by Graydon Creed, son of Sabretooth and Mystique of X-Men lore. Fist is an elite warrior clan that rivals the infamous Hand, and Lethal Legion is an organization originally thought to be founded by Hank Pym, however, later revealed to be Pym controlled by Ultron. It's an interesting storyline. I don't think we talked about that in our Ultron episode, but it's in the lore there. It's very interesting. So they essentially thought, oh, Hank Pym is creating this team of superheroes. No, it's Hank Pym controlled by remnants of Ultron. So yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, that kind of bond never goes away. But Buck did have a partner in a man named Jensen Walker, a.k.a. Shotgun. Shotgun and Bullet became associates later in continuity in the pages of Bullseye, where they were hired by FBI agent Joy Jones in seek of the deadly assassin. And so Jensen had his own reasons for taking on the job, including gaining U.S. citizenship and a hefty payday of $1 million. But in the end, Bullet ended up offering his share to Jensen so long as Bullet himself got to return to his family. There's not much to them aside that. Otherwise, Bullet seems to operate solo. All that said, none of those have MCU counterparts, aside the CIA.
Yeah.
And though we've seen a version of Friends of Humanity and other parts of the CIA through various mediums. So Friends of Humanity, again, I mean, I think they kind of mention them in the Fox films. It was not necessarily connected to Bolivar Trask, but it's in that vein of like, oh, we have to protect humans from the mutants and all that stuff. There is, of course, one primary link consistent across both comics and the MCU, and that, of course, is Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin.
Oh, yeah.
Now, while we didn't discuss Buck and Kingpin so specifically on the podcast just yet, we did chat about their dynamic a wee bit back in episode 106, all about Fisk, so please go back and listen to it there. Otherwise, Buck plays a small part in the menagerie that is Fisk's henchman in the comics, taking care of business as a fixer would, not unlike his MCU counterpart. So it's very simple. Like their relationship is very simplistic in that it's just very much like, I need a job done, and he's like, on it.
That's all you have to say.
Yeah, that's all they have to say. And so, there's nothing that particularly stands out to them. There's no big connection happening there.
Yeah.
But it's obviously far more rich and involved in the MCU, where Fisk himself is most prominently portrayed by Vincent D'Onofrio since 2015's Daredevil on Netflix. And so we initially looked at Buck as Fisk's new, even deadlier, shiny Wesley.
Yes.
Which is basically what he is. Buck was paramount to Fisk becoming mayor in Born Again, contending with Sheila Rivera's criticisms of the campaign, and even pulling Daniel Blake in further into their circle, championing for him further as Fisk secured the win. So he's kind of the hype man, the fixer.
Yeah. It's making sure everyone's on the same page.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly right. And again, the observing and being present in the right place in the right time where he needs to be, and it immediately is crucial to whatever Fisk is taking care of.
Yeah.
What's more is Buck also pulled Murdoch's ex therapist Heather Glenn into the mix, enlisting her as Fisk's marriage counselor after meeting her at a book signing. So it's very interesting because, again, he's pulling the strings as much as he's pulling them together. So he's really building this web for Fisk and very tactfully. And then, of course, later he hired Heather into Fisk's circle as well, which is like interesting because it's like, what's your role?
I know.
She's kind of the therapist, but also like the psychiatrist that goes and like she did with
Like
Swordsman.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, like what would her title be? I don't think they've given her a title, right? Did they?
Oh yeah, I don't know if it was title, but she would run a department under Fisk, like something. I don't know if it was like mental health or whatever, behavioral, whatever it is.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Department of Behavioral, whatever it is.
Yeah, season 1, I think when
it was like at the end. Yes, last episode. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, which for the record, between Heather, Buck, and Daniel, I'm sure you've seen this on social, Jeff. Fans have essentially labeled them the evil Karen, Matt, and Foggy. And I was like, you know what? Yeah. They kind of are, but they're not really working together. Yeah, like Heather is kind of floating about. You're not sure what is happening in this woman's mind. She's been absent for 2 episodes now. So we don't know what's happening with her.
We don't know.
But Daniel and Buck, however, very much evil Matt and Foggy, which is kind of like, aw, shucks, guys. And of course, all of that led to the magnificent episode 7 from season 1, which was titled Art for Art's Sake, where Buck intercepted Luca, head of one of the 5 families, as he intended to kill Fisk at the restaurant while he dined. I remember watching this episode and thinking, oh, dang, this dude's gonna take Fisk out. But it ended up being an interception play.
Yeah.
And then I think it's also the first time you see Buck with a gun. Like, I don't think up to that point he had ever brandished a weapon of any sort.
Up until that point, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Then immediately after, pow, pow, pow.
You're like, oh, shoot.
Yeah.
No question.
Right. And I remember seeing the theories online. They were like, oh, yeah, no, he's for real Bullet. He's Bullet.
Yeah.
Like, he's not just a dude.
And then
with
even
a
in the
name.
most recent episode, or even the most recent episode 4, where he took out the Homeland Security,
yes,
guarding the guy who was on the Northern Star.
Yeah, it's really messed up, but the dirty job, somebody's got to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so I feel like that episode from season 1 was really like the true display of his abilities as an assassin and a killer. Because again, he was kind of just this very almost pretentious man in the room up until that point. And then he changes. You're like, oh, this is the real guy. And I think that's what made him so appealing, is like, oh, he is something real. All that said, an honorable mention to Fisk's Anti-Vigilante Task Force, or the AVTF, who pretty much everyone hates.
Oh yeah,
but
you have no idea. I'm waiting for Powell
I think everybody, man,
to hit the can.
Everybody's just
oh
like,
my God.
Is this the episode?
If there's someone, I mean, I say this all the time, where I'm just like people need to die, like da. But if there's someone that deserves to die, the slowest death, it's him.
And that's what troubles me, is because I'm like, it would be amazing if someone like Buck or Bullseye, for that matter, took this guy out.
Yeah.
But I think that's too quick. I think he needs to be taken out slowly, like you. But I don't think we'll get that.
But you know who needs to do it, and I don't think it'll happen. Frank needs to do it. Frank.
Oh, that'd be so good.
It would be good.
But we would have to wait until like one last kill, if even that.
Maybe he is the one last.
I know, right? Actually. But yeah, no. And of course they're kind of Buck adjacent.
Yeah.
He doesn't necessarily lead them, but he does. I guess he gives them orders at times. I don't know.
Sure.
It's an interesting dynamic. You can kind of tell he's like, I'm above that. And he doesn't really associate with them. But who would want to, right? So for notable adversaries, the list of adversaries for a guy like Buck is liable to get long, but we'll only be discussing a few for comparative purposes, obviously.
Yes. First
up, doesn't necessarily have a comic book counterpart, and that is, in the MCU, Mr. Charles, portrayed by Matthew Lillard. And so The character may actually be a branch off of a character in the comics by the same name. However, that character hails from Earth 33900 and worked in illegal drilling linked to who else but Roxxon. Roxxon just comes up.
Dude,
at
they're slowly
random.
just...
Yeah, just slowly taking over. But even now, not much is known about Mr. Charles in the MCU. Speculation surrounding whether or not that's even his real name. But with his first appearance came an incredible name drop. Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, who quickly made the recipient of her call change their mind, siding with Fisk's Safer Streets initiative and martial law. This, of course, leads to their unexpected encounter at the warehouse where weapons were stowed, and Mr. Charles thought he gained the upper hand on Fisk and Buck. Oh, but boy, was he wrong. I remember I was like, oh damn, they're in trouble. Like, I don't know why. Maybe it's an attribute of how good of actors they are, but I dead ass was like, oh no, are they actually gonna slow these two down? Because Buck had his hands up, right? Because it's to get his hands away from any potential weapons.
Yeah.
And Mr. Charles's failure was saying, oh, that's cute. You can lower your hands.
Yeah.
And essentially gave him permission to pow, pow, pow. And yeah, it's like, again, you see like, oh, he's in a pinch. Oh, wait, no, he's still the better shot.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Took out two guys with machine guns. Like, come on. And we'll see if I was going to call him Mr. Buck. We'll see if Buck and Mr. Charles have more interactions by the end of the season.
Yeah.
But I think it's a possible one. It's possible one or both of them might not survive the series.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious. We still don't know much about Mr. Charles.
I know. I'm waiting.
I know.
I'm waiting. I'm like, come on. And there's only 3 episodes left, which is something we have to keep in mind.
Yeah.
So it's like,
but they're like 50-minute episodes.
yeah,
so
no, there's a lot can happen. Yeah. And so we're not going to talk about Mr. Charles otherwise because, again, there's nothing to talk about in the comics.
Yeah.
But there is a big guy or a little guy
Depending who you're talking to.
Lester Benjamin Poindexter, a.k.a. Bullseye. Colin Farrell. And so we do have Bullseye when it comes to Buck Cashman and his lore. And so these two actually had quite a bit of crossover in modern era, where Bullseye nearly killed Bullet for simply getting in the way of some scores that he needed to settle. And so again, Buck's son Lance served as his perpetual weak point. And so like any love interest would be, Bullseye really focused on Lance to be like, I'm gonna take your boy hostage. I'm gonna threaten to kill your son. You know,
yeah.
And it really works on Buck because again, that's the only person he really has. And in this particular dynamic, it served as a bargaining chip for information, for anything. And Buck himself was forced to choose between his partner shotgun or his own son, and he chose his son. So in the end, Bullseye had been blamed for the death of Lance in the pages of Old Man Logan. However, it's later revealed in pages of Daredevil that Buck basically did the witness protection program with his son. And he's not dead at all. And it allowed Buck to kind of keep operating without putting his son in danger. And yeah, it was to keep him safe from Buck's dangerous lifestyle. Then, of course, in the MCU, we have Benjamin Leonard Dex Poindexter, Bullseye, portrayed by Wilson Bethel as of, God, what season did he even come in? Season 1, Netflix? 2, 3?
I don't even remember.
I don't remember. It's been
yeah.
It's been like 10 years.
That's crazy. Yeah.
But yeah, we've had him for a minute, and I don't use Threads much, but boy, did I write about him yesterday. I was like, give this man a solo series. He's so good.
Yeah.
He's so good at delivering lines and just being so good at bad.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And so, funny enough, in the show, these two haven't had much on-screen crossover, let alone time together whatsoever, aside the ball, which barely counts. Because, like, Buck is protecting Fisk, but Bullseye is kind of doing his own operation. But again, there are some fan theories surrounding the idea that Buck could be a copycat Bullseye.
Yeah.
And I am curious because I haven't done a lot of reading on why people think this.
Yeah.
But the more I see it, I'm like, it's
I mean,
interesting.
Two of the best shots technically right now on the show.
Right. So we'll see what that brings by the end of the season, but also maybe that's the conflict that those two end up having, and that's how Buck exits this life. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
fair.
Yeah, we have yet to see them really tangle, so we'll see if that happens anytime soon. And then that leaves us with Matt Murdock, Daredevil himself.
Of course.
And like many of his colleagues, Matt's got his fair share of adversaries of all gradients, Bullet being one on the lighter end of the spectrum. Bullet is comparable to the likes of Spider-Man's Rhino, to me.
Okay.
He's a big, bulky, tough henchman that comes to ruin the day a little, and then he just disappears until his next paid gig. And so there's like no real reason he's going after Daredevil in particular. There's no specific reason other than you're in my way. You're stopping me from doing my job, which is what Daredevil does best. One notable thing about Buck and his relationship with Daredevil is none other than Buck's own Achilles heel. Again, his son Lance, who happens to like Daredevil. Funny enough. Nevertheless, it doesn't stop Bullet from recurring in Matt's story quite a bit, especially in the earlier pages of Daredevil comics, particularly stories by Ann Nocenti, who, by the way, the Man Without Fear, right?
Yeah.
She has been writing Daredevil comics since the 80s.
Wow.
And she still does today, not as frequently, obviously.
Yeah.
But she's still touched and contributed some stories to modern day comics, which is astounding. And I love that because she's a female creator, so that's amazing.
Yeah.
And despite the decades since, Bullet made appearances as recent as 2022 in continuity as part of Chip Zdarsky's The Red Fist saga, where he's reemerged as a full-blown fugitive turned mercenary who, for better or worse, Matt needs on his side. And so this is where he more or less became a member of the Fist. Again, like I mentioned previously, they're essentially the counterpart group to the Hand. It actually intersects with the spoilers that we're seeing on social media, where Daredevil is donning the beard.
Yes.
And so I took this screenshot just because I liked what Matt says, but this is probably what he's going to look like in season 3, which is a very bearded Matt Murdock, fresh from prison. And so, yes, Bullet happens to be one of the people he recruits for his team, or at least tries to. And so Matt Murdock, Daredevil in the MCU, portrayed by Charlie Cox.
Of course.
And first appearance, my goodness, 2015.
Oh my gosh.
For a tiny
11
show.
years ago?
Yeah, a tiny show created for TV by Drew Goddard.
Wow.
And so these two, as far as for Buck and Daredevil, these two haven't shared a tremendous amount of scenes in the MCU. To be honest, I couldn't count how many they've been.
I don't think they've
together.
interacted.
I don't think they have at all.
No, not at all.
Right. And needless to say, regardless of the fact, Buck is more of a threat to Matt than he even realizes, because again, he knows he's Daredevil. So that then only further escalated as Fisk eventually tasked Buck with killing Matt after the ball while hospitalized. So even then, Matt is the objective for Buck's mission, and they still didn't have an actual scene together. But I remember that being such a terror moment, again, showcasing how scary Buck can be. Because, yeah, he was hiding like a syringe and a teddy bear. And then remember, like, the blackout happened, and then, like, Matt still got out. I mean, I didn't rewatch it, but my gosh, I remember it being such a moment for them. And thankfully, Matt escaped, but that's more or less the mass of their crossover, I think, in the MCU. And they're both involved in the same acts, but they're never really face to face with one another. And they're just part of this grand design, speaking of. And naturally, with Matt Murdock also comes all of his associates. So Karen, White Tiger, etc. Most of which Buck doesn't even necessarily have direct beef with, aside getting them out of Fisk's way. So again, he doesn't have a distinct purpose other than clean stuff up for Fisk. Take care of Fisk's dirty
Make sure
laundry.
everything, like he said, like Fisk said at one time, no loose ends.
Yes, exactly right.
Yeah.
That's all it is. That's all it is with Buck. It's kind of crazy. But he does it well. Let me tell you that
he
much.
does.
So before we start to steer into the final conclusion of this episode, Jeff, I wanted to give you a pop quiz.
No.
But I don't know. You've already said something that I'm like, oh, maybe you got this answer.
Don't have so
down.
much faith in me, Dai.
I mean, buddy, you've surprised me before. So, pop quiz. Do you want to give a guesstimation of how many notable kills Buck currently has in the MCU? But you've already named 2.
It's technically 3 because there was 2 Homeland agents.
Okay. Let's see.
So
And he's only been in 2 seasons. So you
can definitely like.
Damn, Jeff.
Yeah, so
Really
it's obviously the diner scene. I think it was the first one. Then obviously these 2 Homeland agents. Now I'm like, oh no. Oh, duh. Then he killed the Northern Star the first mate, and then he killed. Oh, then he killed both of them. The first mate and the first hand.
Yes.
So that's
Who I believe is the one that's in the trunk.
Yeah, so that's 6. That's 5 right now that I have. Is there another one? Oh. Did he? No. Did he kill Muse? No, he didn't. No, that was Punisher. I think. Right? No, I forget. But he didn't kill Muse. He has more than 5?
I didn't say anything of that sort.
Does he have more than 5?
I don't know. Does he,
Can't
Jeff?
tell me.
Does he, Jeff?
So he has 5 confirmed. Okay.
And I just said notable.
Notable kills?
Yeah.
Oh.
like not like a stray.
Yeah. Like notable,
distinct
like
kills.
5. So I have 5. The 2 Homeland Security guarding the first hand, the 2 Northern Star people, the restaurant, and that's 5.
Final
I have
answer?
5 total kills.
Final answer?
Sure.
5 is correct.
Yo! Yeah!
I knew I could depend on you when it came to death.
Because I care so much.
And what drives me crazy is you basically named exactly who they were, which is nuts. And so the names that you were looking for, Akilio Kyriako.
I'm not getting the Russian guys.
Yeah, that's the guy. That's the
Russian hands.
The
yeah.
Russian hands.
Yeah.
Christofi Sava.
Yeah.
And then Luca from season 1.
Yeah.
Who we mentioned earlier, as well as 2 CIA agents.
Yeah.
Chip and Dale.
Chip. Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I forgot about Chip and Dale.
Yeah, because I
They
remember
were Chip and Dale.
Because I forget who it was.
Fucking Disney, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget who it was that said like, oh, don't worry, you're good. We'll get you out. And I was like, no, they're not.
Yeah.
I was like, they're gonna
Yeah.
like Buck's gonna find them.
Buck's gonna find him. Yeah, so you got all 5 right there. Boom,
Yes!
his notable deaths, notable kills. And so that brings us to almost was. Could not find a
course
single
not.
iota of
This is-
information.
This is one of those characters that nope. If you
Yeah.
audition, you good.
You good, yeah. And,
yeah.
and they won with him. They won with him.
He's
so
great.
well. Artie's great. But believe it or not, there are fan casts because people who are fans of the comics. And so fans had a wish list of actors for Buck Cashman, including Jason Momoa,
Jesus.
Rory McCann,
What the-
Pillow Asabek, David Harbour,
Why?
and Ryan Hurst.
Why are you casting A-list actors for
a
like
Z-list
like
character?
a maybe a B-list, C-list role?
dude.
Like what?
the big
Brother.
thought.
You might as well get Jacob Elordi to friggin'
I know, right? A
What do we
stilt
do?
man.
What do we do? Yeah. Like what are we doing, man?
That's funny shit. Yeah, it's very interesting, right? Like it's how big people's ideas get. They're like, oh, there's gonna be a Daredevil movie, and he could be played by Jason Momoa. It's like, oh, how did you get there from Bullet? Like, okay,
Yeah.
sure, that's great. But yeah, again, we don't know. I'm sure Artie was first and foremost, and they just
Probably killed it, yeah.
done. You're good. You're in.
They were probably looking for a British marksman type, you know, and it's like, all right, cool, yeah. That's him.
Again, like Wesley, but British.
Yeah.
And so, for the future of the character in the MCU,
I
he gonna die by the end of the season?
don't think he will.
No.
Oh well,
End of season?
You know, it's possible.
I think end
I
of
think it
season-
depends where his character is. Probably by episode 6, 7.
Yeah,
6, 7.
I think it's a 50-50 shot. He
But
could
like I
die.
said at the top of the episode, I'm like like it's like rooting for either a Buck versus Daredevil or Buck versus Bullseye.
Yeah.
Which is like that
be.
makes
Yeah.
you know because Dex is having this change of heart a little bit. Karen's about to kill Matt.
As I think I'll be okay with it as long as it's not Karen, because she already took Wesley out. She can't take both of them out.
Yeah.
I just don't buy it.
Look, I think Karen might kill Matt first for bringing Bullseye back to
I know. The look on her face, I was like,
She was like, "Are you serious right now?
You're sleeping on the couch, buddy."
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the strongest theory for me, if and when Buck is taken down, it feels like it should be Bullseye.
Yeah.
Just simply based
A showdown
on skills
of like the
set.
best marksman in the
absolutely.
show. Yeah.
Because can you just imagine, like, watch it be the second time Bullseye's ever missed. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. He could make it to season 3, but I don't see him not dying. He's gonna die at some point. He's just too good. He's too good at what he does.
Look, if Fisk just needs to keep finding right hand man.
Yeah.
If that's just like his shtick, then it's like
Yeah, exactly. So we shall see. When it comes to suggested reading, Buck is definitely all across the board. So my only real suggestion would be to jump around his different eras in the pages of Daredevil, where he has the most consistent, continuous appearances. Whereas with the others, he's practically a glorified cameo. And so these issues in particular would include 250 through 267 of Ann Docenti's run, plus issues in the 290s, as well as Chip Zdarsky's 2022 run of the series as well. And so all that said, that's the end of the show. Thanks for listening, guys. Next episode. So Jeff and I are officially pivoting from our usual episode rollout style. And so we're going to bring you more mini Marvels more often.
Yes.
So join us in 2 weeks where we'll talk about the latest in the Marvel Universe with video in our next mini Marvel.
Woo!
Thank you to all of our Patreon supporters, and a special We Are Groot salutes to Laura, Katie, Robin, Ed, Ashley, Andrea, Nats, Melanie, Andrew, Jenny, Chris, Cherry, Juliz, and Tyler. Follow us on social at STRKC and TRST. If you experienced ads during this episode, you can unlock an ad-free version of the podcast by supporting us on Patreon. And if you like what you hear, review, rate, and subscribe.
Once again, thanks for listening. We will catch y'all in the next one.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Top tip. Smashing someone's face in can make them reluctant to comply. Next time, maybe put the kettle on, yeah? Get them talking over a nice cup of tea.